college is extremely charged, for young men. Okay, this is the point where the sexes are discovering who they are. Right? So women want it both ways. That's what I think that there's the lack of psychological acuity or subtlety in current feminist discourse has produced part of this problem. Now, at my experience with women, I've been a total failure as a lesbian. Let me tell you right now. Okay, all right. I can understand. I really understand how maddening women are to men. Okay, absolutely maddening. I mean, a man can clearly read that a woman is interested in a sexual way by her body language and so on and so forth. All right, and then he makes a move on her, and absolutely not. How dare you, etc. I mean, I'm telling you, women are.
Her modern freedom. Okay. Now the point is, the current feminism wants to make men like women. Okay. Gloria Steinem has said that masculinity is an illness. It's a disease. It has to be cured. Okay. I don't believe this. I believe masculinity is something beautiful. It's real. It's eternal. And gay men have made me see this. Okay. Gay men are preservers of the masculine principle. Gay men see the beauty.
Why are gay men more preservers of the masculine principle than heterosexual men?
Well, I mean, you can see, just to open any gay newspaper, and you can see these gorgeous images that have a history of these hunks going all the way back to Greek art. I mean, the whole art tradition is preserved in gay male culture. And you see, actually, heterosexual men are closer to women because they're in essence mating with the shadow of their mothers. The shadow of their mothers is falling over their wives. But gay men are making the most complete break from their mothers. So to me, gay men are ultimately more masculine than straight men. I mean, it is one of my peculiar opinions, I have to admit.
Where are you now?
The present doctrines that suffuse elite education in the United States seem to me utterly pernicious. I've been railing against postmodernism and poststructuralism for a quarter century and warning of the results of gutting the humanities curriculum, as has been done. And now we see it all around us, a whole generation of young people whose parents are bankrupting themselves, send them to elite schools to receive an education, basically cynicism and chaos. There's no sense of historical perspective. History is regarded as a false narrative, okay, that is imposed by power cells who are simply
identity politics itself has just got to stop. I mean, it was important once, okay? I was a rebel against the WASP, hegemony, okay, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant hegemony in American culture. It was suffocating. I was raised in the 1950s, right, when WASPs controlled corporations and education and politics and so on. And so identity politics was necessary once, okay? We asserted gay rights, okay, with the Stonewall Rebellion of 1969. We asserted, okay, the women's rights with the rebirth of second wave feminism in the late 1960s, okay? But this endless, okay, preoccupation with a fragmented identity. We must return to the authentic 1960s vision, which is about identity coming from consciousness, which transcends gender, which transcends all these divisions of race, okay, and ethnicity, okay, consciousness itself, okay, right? There's no sense.
All of these things in modern capitalist life, it seems to me, have come to us from men. And so I feel that we have to stop this bad-mouthing both of male motivation and action, and also of capitalism, which I feel is ultimately Darwinian. It does need regulation, some regulation. An unregulated capitalism will produce simply a kind of a looting or pillaging kind of a process where you have overconcentrations of wealth at the top and tremendous waste by bureaucracies that rise up far removed from the original entrepreneurs who may have founded the company, okay, wastrel sons and grandsons and so on, all kinds of excesses of exploitation. That seems to me it is proper for us to look at, not necessarily for government to intervene in constantly. I think that business ethics is something that should be taught from high school on. I think that we need much more of an ethical sense so that business leaders have within them not the external big daddy coming to look at them, to look at their behavior, but something within them, okay, that causes shame, all right, as they compare their their 3 martini lunches.
They do, to me, look like as an experienced classroom teacher of 45 years. I mean, I'm starting to feel, I'm starting to self-censor as I speak to them. I'm starting to, it's not that I give trigger warnings or anything like that, but I do feel that they're easily upset, okay, and that their education has been without a realistic introduction to the barbarities of human history, right? I feel that ancient history must be taught, okay, and that there's too much presentism right now. Right? They see a comfortable world around them, the world of the shopping malls, a world of material prosperity, right? And they believe that by any problems in the environment can be remedied by just a little, using a screwdriver, slightly tighten a screw, all right? And soon utopia, will happen. They have no sense, okay, of the special privileges they enjoy in this very affluent, culture. So I believe in introducing.
Why?
Well, I am a libertarian. In the new book, Vamps and Tramps, contains this main essay, No Law in the Arena, which details my militant 60s radical libertarian philosophy, which is that government must stay out of the private realm, that government should stay exclusively in the public realm and should be minimal, should be very stripped down kind of a structure. And I'm saying, in effect, that I'm for unrestricted access to abortion, for legalization of drugs, even though I don't take drugs, for abolition of all sodomy laws, decriminalization of prostitution, okay? At the same time, I'm saying that I feel the drag queens. The drag queens to me are great feminist models because they're out there dressed to, they're ready to fight by word and by deed for themselves. I think that there's a kind of white middle class sentimentality and self-pity in a lot of current feminism. My feminism predates the current feminist establishment. I mean, my record as a feminist goes all the way back to the 1950s. There's not a single feminist who can claim my credentials. It goes all the way back to when I was posing in transsexual costumes and, as a small child in the 1950s. So my feminism...
You were posing in transsexual costumes?
Yes, I was 5, 6, 7, 8. I was making these radical gestures of nonconformism in the middle of the Doris Day 1950s. And I'm sorry, Gloria Steinem is a Jenny come lately as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, what I'm saying is that my feminism comes from the great period of the 20s and 30s. My heroines were Katharine Hepburn and Amelia Earhart. That is, I stress self-reliance, independence, personal responsibility, and not blaming other people for your problems.
Yeah, but also a lot of the feminists that you respect, or that you're playing Russian.
You are, because the point is, I think that by saying yes, okay, you're saying in effect, I'm considering sex with this person, okay? Now, I don't think anyone has a right to put his or her hand on you without your consent. I'm a libertarian, okay? Right. But if you have a small woman and you're getting into the power of a large man, hey, the guy could be Ted Bundy, he could be Jeffrey Dahmer. Wake up, girl, okay? Life is filled with dangers, okay? That's right. Gay men know this. Gay men understand the dangers of the street. They're cruising in parks, and you understand? They get beat up, they get killed, okay? For thousands of years it's been going on. I'm sick and tired of women having this overprotective kind of infantilized condition, okay, where it's sort of like, oh, that poor white middle class girl, look what happened to her. I'm tired of that. We women of the 60s, okay, demanded equality of opportunity. The next generation of women. Susan Faludi and Naomi Wolf are simply clones of Gloria Steinem. Look at her, she's like a mother hen with her chicks. What I represent is the new feminism of the 21st century, which is going to get over this male bashing thing. Put men in their place, okay, but respect what men have done, okay? Yeah. Respect men for what they are.
And you give men most credit for where civilization has come to so far.
Admit that what men have done, admit the great art that men has, admit the culture that has given women her modern freedom, okay? Now, the point
I feel that human beings need religion. They need a religious perspective, a cosmic perspective. And getting rid of the orthodox religions because they were too conservative has simply led to the new religion of political correctness. All right? And so it's the same kind of fanaticism. I mean, I have found that second wave feminists, it's like the Spanish Inquisition. I'm not kidding. Okay, like anything with any form of dissent, even within feminism, is treated as heresy. Okay, and they actually try to destroy you. When I wrote my piece on date rape in 1991, there was clearly an organized campaign among feminist groups to get me fired from my university. They harassed the president of the university, and who thank heavens, okay, I had tenure, but also he took the very enlightened view that faculty are free to express their views about the thing. But if I were a younger faculty member, I wouldn't have dared to speak out. Okay, I would have been vulnerable in the promotion process and so on. So I do think that the independent thinkers have been driven out of academe. I mean, there are plenty of men who just gave up.
Wall, all right, because I understood even then that in some way fashion was making an enormous breakthrough. I think again it is so unfair of these ghettoized women's studies programs and thinkers, right, to be obsessing, to be taking contemporary images and to be importing onto them all of these moralistic systems, cutting them to pieces, finding amputation, strangulation, all these horrible kinds of psychotic categories that I have tried to expose. People who do that to fashion images are coming into the fashion magazines from the world of words. Okay, they're word obsessed. They're mal-educated. They have not been trained in the great history of the visual arts. Right? You cannot open Vogue. You cannot open Harper's Bazaar without feeling behind it everything going back to classical Athens. You must feel everything from Botticelli's nudes through Titian, through Giorgione, through Delacroix, Ingres, coming right down into this image. All right, but all of our these ladies who come out of the English departments, okay, and who have been the backbone of women's studies, okay, they don't know how to look at an image. I mean, a good example would be that hilarious fiasco at Penn State.
I'm talking about quid pro quo. If someone says to you, you must sleep with me or not, you're not going to get promoted, that's
Right.
sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Anyone telling an off-color joke to you, this is a democracy. Anyone has the right to use any language to you at all, at any time. You must develop the language to fight back against it, okay?
Right.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
And so what should happen to an employer who is fondling one of his employees?
No one has a right to put a hand on you. Okay, so if he is doing that, first of all, it's up to the woman the first time it happens to say, stop it. Terminate the fantasy. Now, Vamps and Tramps, I'm talking about this. I'm saying most women go along with it they go along for a year or two, then suddenly they decide, hey, I've been sexually harassed. Lawsuit. Okay, now I'm saying from the first moment you arrive at a job, okay, or at school, or anywhere you go, okay, you are communicating what you will take. You set the borderlines. I'm saying I am empowering women. I'm saying get with it, girl. Okay, but I'm tired of talking about this.
Well, what is it
Okay.
you want to talk
All right,
about?
okay. All right, let's
What
talk.
is it? I mean,